Hi, I'm Jen. Welcome to my channel. I haven't been on for a while, so I thought I'd do a video. I'm not really sure what direction I'm moving in. I've had to put my focus on other things. And one of those things is my health recently. And for me, March was going to be movement month. You know, for me, I'm like, okay, I've been spending so much time. I've been so tired. I'm like, let's get my body up and moving and just see how long, because I'm like looking at going back into the work world, whatever that looks like. I need to have more momentum, more stamina. And so for me, March was supposed to be the month where I'm just like, no matter what I'm doing, just be moving. So like, instead of watching TV, instead of sleeping, like let's go and just walk. Even if it's like 6 hours a day. Now, did it happen like that? No, but it's not going to. Like that's the end goal is, you know, that much movement. It's just about getting me mentally. Sometimes I think we get mentally stuck in our habits, but there are times where I'm like, obviously the reason why I was stuck in that habit was because I'm exhausted. And so as you're coming out of the exhaustion, part of that is like getting out of your like sort of like pattern in that you've been playing. Like, you know, it's really easy for me to go sit on the couch. It's harder for me to take a walk. And I have to look at, why is it hard for me to take a walk? Is it because I'm actually tired? Or is it because it's easier to sit on that couch? And sometimes you need those easy moments. Don't get me wrong. But I had to recognize, we're like, am I capable of more at this time? Because when you start getting back up again, that's when you start like recognizing, okay, like, is this still too much for me? It is. Okay, so why? So like, that's when I started looking into my electrolytes. That's when I started looking into like what I'm eating and things like that. And like, that's when I've been on the carnivore diet. I've done keto diet. I've done coffee, sugar, and carbs diet as a coping mechanism for my life at the time. I have dairy with me today. And so a lot's been happening. And even like I'm going to get my it's a decaf coffee. I'm going to get it today. And I'm just like, this feels like so much has happened. And when I look back, it's only really been like a week or so. But it's not. It's been April. But it's weird because, so here's what happened. This month has fast tracked me, but it's interesting because it happens and then you all of a sudden look back and you're like, what the fuck? Because in the beginning, like March movement did not happen the way I thought it would. And I don't think it was supposed to, but I was doing things inside the house, you know? I was like, okay, like I want to clean up the house a bit because, you know, in the abusive place that I was, like while I was receiving abuse from other people and I was in abusive environments and connections, I was always focused on them. So like for me, it's time to focus back on me. And one of those things was like recognizing that my house had been falling apart and my body had been falling apart. So I like to two birds, one stone it. And so in order to get my March movement, I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense that I can start like, I fixed my closet door over here. That's crazy that I did that because I had to bump it over because like the last person who made that closet, they put it so close to the wall that the trim is like cut off and it looks weird at the top. So I'm like, that's gonna bug me. So I had to go find a piece at the hardware store to bump it over and then recut the hinges, which I didn't do it properly, but I'll go back to it later and do it better because it's sitting, the one bottom hinge is a little bit too far out. I guess there's a thing that lets you cut the hinges easier, but I'm on a budget. So the closet door is there. There's a doorknob on it and it is done. And it is framed. And to me, that is a huge deal. I framed my front door on the inside because there's no framing there. I did a bunch of the other trim down the hallway. Like I'm putting trim back. I still need to do some, don't get me wrong. And there's still like a lot of work that needs to be done. But I had a lot of trim in the garage. I still have some. And it felt good to like get that trim out of the garage and into my house. Is it finished? No, but that wasn't the point. I'm building momentum. And it felt good to do that. But I also realized I hate renos still. I don't know if I'm ever gonna like them. I was able to slow myself down and give myself time to learn. But there's some things, especially in this house, because I have plaster, the corners are not square. And I even bought this thing that helps you to square up the corners. But of course, the corner that I need it for, it doesn't fit. The legs on the tool is too long to actually accurately gauge what the corner is, if that makes sense. And then I don't know how to cut it on my miter saw because it's like 43 degrees instead of 45. So I had to stop there. I'm like, this is too much. But the goal was not to finish the renos on my house. The goal was to get me up and moving. And that got me up and moving. And it was slow and steady throughout the whole day that I was doing these things, right? So it's getting me back up into my body, points. It's getting me off the couch, that's another point. And then I'm also having to pay attention to my food intake to make sure that I'm not exerting myself, like exhausting myself, right? So I got that. So it finally got to a point, like, because this is in the colder weather, now the nice weather is coming out. So now we're out of March and more into April. And so, of course, like the warm weather has me outside. Like I have a lot of work to do outside. It's not necessarily like, you know, all the weeding and things like that. I've been in a project. When I first got to this house in 2019, it was just grass in the backyard. And I went crazy and created half a garden in half the yard, which I love because there's no privacy and all the neighbors can look into my yard. And I fixed that this spring as well. Well, I mean, it's going to take some time, but I put a tree to give me some privacy finally, because it's not that I think the neighbors are watching me. That's not what it's about. I want privacy. It's about me. I want privacy. I don't want someone's like kitchen window looking into my yard. I don't like that. So there's nothing I can do about their kitchen window and the placement, but I can put a privacy tree in front of it. And so I did that this week. And it feels so fucking good. And it's going to be it's a red flowering dogwood, and it's really pretty because up front it's red with little dots of white, but from afar it's like kind of, as it collages, it's like pink. But no, like it's going to be really pretty. So yeah, so I've been doing a lot of, would you call it stonescaping? Is that what you call it? Like I got a bunch of these fucking kick-ass bricks. I'm trying to fill up my yard because I don't like grass. I have a lot of grass. I have my whole front yard and side yard is grass, and then I have the backyard that's, so I'm like, I want my backyard to be like less grass, and I also want easier maintenance. So that was my goal this summer. It's like not necessarily like I'm not finishing my yard. Like nothing is getting finished fast. I don't have the money for that right now. But for me mentally, this period of time of after recovering from the abuse, like I recognized it, I'm recovering from it, I'm refueling myself, I'm rebuilding. And so the next stage is like putting my life back together, but also building my momentum. And so like, it's not about finishing the renos of my house overnight. It's not about finishing my yard. It's about maintenance, easier maintenance. So like I also put a door, I had taken the doors off because I wanted to refinish all the, like, they're wood doors, and they're orange wood doors. And so they're good quality, but I want to finish and paint them. That's not done yet, but I did put the doors back on. So like now I have an office with the door I can shut because of the dogs at times can bark when a leaf passes by. So I need something to be less distracting. So I'm like, this feels good to me. I set up my office. I've gotten more focused on the direction I want to move in with things. I'm no longer doing the cards so much. I want to focus more on like just things, that tools and tips that I've learned, and give that to you with my experiences in hopes that is helpful. And I'll do a reading here and there, but I don't know. I'm not really drawn to the cards as much as I used to be. Every time I go to pull them, I'm just kind of like, this feels the same. Like I don't feel like I need them anymore. And while they're fun, it just feels like I kind of get more confused when I use them at times. They're more for other people, but it's about me right now because I'm used to overgiving to everybody else. So like, I don't really want to do readings for people because I'm focused more on me at this time and what I want to do, you know? So like, while some people appreciate having like 2 to 3 card readings a day, which is kind of addictive, and I'm not willing to do that anymore. It's not something I want to do. I don't see myself, I don't enjoy doing that many readings a day when they all are very similar, just saying it differently, in my opinion. Like, I can be helpful, don't get me wrong, but the idea is to have people learn on their own instead of me telling you what's going on in your life, I guess, is my, so that's what I've been finding the clarity in that regard. And so now April, this is crazy. So like, I think it was like the 6th or 8th of April, my fridge died. feels like a love-hate relationship because I'm like, it's an old fridge, and I realized when I was trying to fix it, the previous owner he had painted over like corrosive sewer lines. He really overcharged me for this house, and yeah, he just bought, I guess people do this, he bought a refurbished fridge and took the fridge that was originally here, took that for himself. So that's his right, but just with my experience with the aftermath of finding all the issues in the house with what he covered up, yeah. Anyways, the fridge died, and I tried to fix it. I thought it's a defrost line, and it was not. So I spent a day trying to defrost the fridge, and then I just let it sit for 24 hours. Because like even if I just let it sit for 24 hours, it's still insulated. So I had to get that. I have one of those steam cleaners, and you can take the handle out and use it as a steam thing. So that was super handy. So even if there was a blockage, there was no longer a blockage. And then I let it sit for 24 hours, and I put the tube to a tray to see if I could see what was, and there was nothing. And then, so I was like, okay, what is this? Because I really don't have the money right now. I'm living off of limited income, and I want it to last as long as possible. I don't want to buy a new fridge. I mean, I do, but I don't, right? And now I love my fridge. I got a stainless steel, and it matches my oven. And it actually makes the kitchen look bigger because I have such a tiny kitchen. So I'm like, that, it feels cozy in there, but spacious, and it's taller. So that's a win. But yeah, so I looked at the back. I'm like, maybe it's a compressor. And I'm like, I can't take that shit apart. And then I noticed like there's a copper wire, and it had oxidization, and I know that's not good. And when I Googled it, it said like that's normal to have that maybe near the connectors because of when they were connecting, maybe that happened. But it's all along the line, and they said if there's fuzz on there, like dust, that's a leak. And I did have dust and fuzz. So I'm like, that's it. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't think I can disconnect this. This is internal. And that's when my fridge died, and I ordered a new fridge. Now here's the fun part. I think we'll say it was April 8th that the fridge died, and I ordered a new one. The new fridge wasn't coming until the 21st of April. That's a long time. And okay, so like I do have the option of the community kitchen, but I felt like that's not really for me anymore because like I'm buying trim to fix my house because I don't know if I'm gonna stay or go at this point, right? But I want to have it. I'm doing it, and so I'm like, if I'm spending money on trim, then that doesn't make sense for me to go to a community kitchen. So, yeah. So that was a challenge. I have a cooler. I had a cooler, so I made the most of that. But the ice was only lasting like 24/7 maybe. I don't even know what I ate. How did I do that? I think I did a fasting day. Oh yeah, and eggs keep. They're pretty good. So like yeah, I would have a lot of eggs. I'm just trying to think. I don't even see. This is the weird part. Like looking back, it feels like April has gone by so fast, but so much has happened, but not. So during this time, like I lost my fridge, and a new one cost altogether was $1,000. I was looking on the low end, but like so like to me a fridge for like $600. That's what I was like that's I don't want the cheapest, but I need something. So like 600 and change. So then you got the warranty, and then you also got delivery charges, and then you got taxes. Like I'm at $1,000 for a fridge. It's a beautiful fridge, don't get me wrong, but it was not the cost I was expecting. Okay, so what happens now is like I've been doing so well with my eating. I've been disciplined. I've been cutting out carbs, sugar, and dairy, and then I lose my fridge. And so it felt like everything just kind of fell apart because I was doing so well. And then it was just on the last day before I got my fridge, and I was like, this is too much. And I realized like I'm probably going to have to go back to 9 to 5 soon, which I'm not excited about. But I have a different mindset this time. So while this is an update, it's also a different perspective shift. So getting a temp job, before I used to think I'd be obsessed. Like now I got to do everything to keep this job long term. For me now, I'm seeing the temp job as this is just a way to temporarily bring money, and I'm not going to be there forever. So it's a different outlook. And so when I had this fail, and it was kind of like, it was too much. Everything felt like too much, and I finally like flopped. And then, what did I have? I had sugar. What did I have? I had a coffee. No, I still haven't had the caffeine, but I did have my decaf with creamers, which because dairy and me don't get along. But that's the kicker now. So like, so I managed all this stress of like losing my fridge when I have limited income, and the idea of like taking away my income from like potentially being further away from having to go back to 9 to 5 was a challenge for me. But like, I needed a new fridge, and like, I'm still managing even though I don't have a fridge. Like, if you would have told me I would do this before, like, it would have sent me at a period of my life. It would have sent me. But I maintained without a fridge, still doing things around the house, still being outside, and I was working a lot in the yard at this time, and I'm still okay. It's such a weird thing. And so another weird thing happened with that. So I fell off the wagon. I feel like these things happen intentionally at times. This is where it's like I can't deny the divine connection, because I'm like, where I felt it was a failure, and of course there was I was emotionally like upset, because I'm like, I feel like I've been working so hard and I don't want to go back into 9 to 5, but I have a different outlook now on it as well. But it was also like, I worked so hard on my health that I felt like going back to 9 to 5 and dealing with certain types of people and stuff like that, it was going to be different. But I'm not as emotionally invested anymore. I'm more logical mind, and I can gaslight myself into the way, not gaslight myself, like, it's weird, people would gaslight me before, but now I'm like, I can tell myself it's not. I don't think it's gaslighting. It's just like, it's a perspective shift where I'm like, this isn't forever. And sometimes it can feel like, when's this going to shift? But I can see the shifts happening now. I can see the things that are happening for me, and it's been consistent. Before it was like that trust fall. Now it's like consistently being caught, and it's uncomfortable. And so what happens now, instead of waiting for that tower to fall, and I'm okay, I'm managing the tower, now I'm like, you know what? Now I'm bringing the tower in. I'm like, bring it. I'm ready for it. Instead of waiting for it, I'm like moving towards it. I'm pressing myself instead of life pressing me. Do you see? So I flipped it. I flipped it. I don't give a shit about these fucking bullies anymore, because I'm coming back the other way. I think bullies need to be more concerned about me. And I think, yeah, it's just things have totally, I have totally flipped the tables, because I can control how I react and how I see things. And while you can say that out loud, it means something totally different when you're actually in it. And here's another thing. This is crazy. So like, before, like a couple weeks ago, I was starting to fall off that wagon. I was like, life was feeling like I wasn't seeing any results, and I was doing so much work and getting so little in between. So that's where the sugar comes in. I'm like, I need to feel like I'm having something, and like a fridge feels like, I love the new fridge, but in the time, it feels like getting a new roof, which is important for the roof in the house, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a fun purchase. Like getting carpet, or having someone come in and finish your home and like get new cupboards. It's a thing that was always there, what you took for granted. But when you stop taking things for granted, you realize like how big those things are. And it's interesting, because even when getting the fridge, I'm like, oh, that's cool, it's new. But because I haven't seen any of the change happening, I can see it. I can logically say, like, okay, it makes sense. Like, the less I eat sugar, the more I work out, the better I can get a feel. But the process is so stretched out at times. So here's the thing. So like, yeah, I had a couple cans of kombucha, because I'm like, I just need something. I want to feel like I just can have something for myself. Like that I'm not just protein, fruits, and vegetables. Well, it was good for me. It was too restrictive still. So I had these cans of kombucha. They're tiny little cans, and I had 2 in one night because they're so tiny, and then one the next day, and like it started my period, which is weird. And I'm like assuming, like, because any time in the past where I've gone on a sugar like restriction, like I don't have any sugar, and then I fall off that sugar wagon, I would get my period. And like, of course, I can't talk to a doctor about this because they don't believe me. They write it off as I'm premenstrual or premenopausal. Any bleeding outside your period, doctors just write it off as, well, what age are you? Oh, you're premenopausal. It's just like, because I don't have a certain weight, I can't be insulin resistant. But something is fucked up. Whenever I'd have sugar, I would start to bloat. Whenever I have dairy, I would start to bloat. Now I also realize there are times where I think with the dairy, I think I was over consuming it, and it could have been obviously like I'm gaining weight from the fat, but because I was feeling so unsafe, that's my comfort blanket, right? And we can tell ourselves we're doing something healthy, but it's still out of moderation. And so I had to look at that as well. No judgment there. This has all been part of the process. So when I fell off this next, so like I was still waiting for the fridge. Everything was feeling like it was just too much. And then I just fell, and I'm like, I need a coffee, decaf, still decaf. But I needed that comfort. And then, so now that I'm off the wagon, now I can have cake, and now I can have an apple pie. And I'm like, I'm already off the wagon, so let's make the most of it. But what had been happening along this same time is I'd been doing yard work outside, and I didn't know what the fuck just happened, but I was craving sugar, which is so fucked up, because if you watch some of my other videos, I think I've talked about this, and I just mentioned it now, like whenever I have sugar, I get my period, so I stay away from sugar. That was like one of my things, because I'm like, I can't keep having there was 1 month I had, because like anytime I would have sugar, I would get a period. There was this 3 consecutive, every 2 weeks period. So I would come off a period, and then I'd have a sugar because of what I was experiencing. Like I was just needing something. So I'd have sugar, and then, so that would be like 2 weeks after I'd stop my period, I would get my period again. And then the same thing. So I'm like, okay, I have my period. And then I'd wait 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'd have sugar again. And then I'd get my period. So like in does that make sense? 6 weeks-ish? Like it was like every 2 weeks I was having a period. So for me, I'm like, I can't have sugar, because whenever I have sugar, I get my period, right? And the hormones, and like it's affecting my I would get really oily roots and dry ends, and I think it was from the caffeine though for that part. Like I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just trying to figure out, because like whenever you mention anything like this, people make you seem like, I don't know what my file looks like, if that's what, I don't think they have my file. So like I don't know what it is, but like this is a thing where it's like they just make they think you're making shit up. Like I have nothing better to do than sit in a waiting room for 2 to 3 hours because of made up issues, right? And so I was trying to figure this out on my own. So I stopped the sugar. And then, so what I also had was like, okay, like I have stress sweat. So like, am I high in cortisol? Because that would make sense, because I've been raised in cortisol, I feel, as a child. So my norm could be high in cortisol, because I don't know what it's like to live without that chaos and the abusive nature of these individuals that I've been raised in. Like, that is my norm, and that is my mirror that I've been using, to figure out what changes I need to make within myself and for those people around me, right? And so we were coming from March movement, where I'm trying to move as much as I can. So now we move into outdoor stuff, and now I'm in my zone. So the renos, I hate renos, but I love the garden. And I'm so sick of being in my house that I want to be outside. So for me, when I first bought this house, I turned half the yard into garden, but I didn't know how to lay that out. So it was last year where I got a bunch of I think it was last year where I got a pond set up. I got a bunch of bricks and shit. And then within this month, I got these bricks where I thought they were just yellow bricks, but my daughter's like, no, I think those are bigger. And they're fucking big ass, like this thick of a brick. And some of them are a little bit wider, and they're used for the side of a house. And so on Kijiji, they said you could come take it. It took me like an afternoon to go collect them. And I bring like 1 or 2 at a time down this crazy step, because they're too heavy. So I had to literally pack these into my car and do like 4 trips. I worked my ass off, and now it's gonna be worth it, because they look beautiful. I've bordered some of the gardens, and they raise it up off, so it looks really nice. And I've been moving patio stones that are, okay, here's the thing, like to where I was just on a couch in March, struggling to get off the couch, struggling with fatigue. Now this is a crazy thing where I feel like I fast tracked, where it felt like it was forever ago, where my fridge died in April, the beginning of April, and now we're like, 2 or 3 weeks past, and like I'm lifting. This is where things happen so fast where you don't realize it, because like I've been trying to. I want to feel my muscles, right? I like Tae Bo, but like I can only go so far with Tae Bo because Tae Bo, kicks my ass. So I can't do Tae Bo every day, but I wanted to move all the time. And like I do have rest days, don't get me wrong. Today's a rest day where I'm just gonna do some very light activities outside because I still want to keep my body moving. I don't want my muscles to get stiff because I can feel it. So I still want to move. But I'm sore today. I overdid it yesterday, but for good reason. I got a lot of shit done. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, so like I had this crazy sugar craving last week after doing some intense garden work. And I just let myself fucking eat. What did I have? I had a quart of, no, I had 2/3 of it because all I really wanted it was with a caramel in the center of Ben & Jerry's banana flambe, is it, or something? The caramel in that cup is perfect. And so I had that. I had a Dave's Burger, which has like help. Oh, that's what I did. So the day before I had a decaf coffee. The next day I was like, you know what? I'm feeling the pain from the garden, and I had and the pain of the situation of just feeling like I was carrying too much and trying to do too much too soon. And all I really wanted to do was work in the garden. I don't want to go to a 9 to 5, but I'm gonna have to, and I accepted that. And this is part of my grieving process, I think. But two birds, one stone. So like my body was craving this sugar, which I'm like so confused. But I understood, like when I was on bed rest and just random walking, if I were to have that dairy or a sugar, like I feel like it's, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't understand everything how this works, but I think it was just sitting in my system. But because I've been consistently overworking my muscles, where at one point I'm like, is that bad? Because when you start working out, the cortisol kicks in, and I didn't know if I'm high in cortisol. I assume because of my experiences, that's a definite possibility. So I had to be careful. That's why everyone's like, well, you got to start slow and do yoga. I don't want to do yoga. I want to be outside, and I want to try to like get my movement up, but also like clean up my yard. Two birds, one stone. And so in this process where I'm working consistently and for long days outside, I can feel my muscles again. I'm swole in a way that like I still can't see my muscles. So but when I look back, I'm like, well, of course you can't. Like, yes, I've been working consistently, maybe we'll say for on and off for 2 weeks, but I'm still building the muscle. And so then I had the sugar, and the sugar didn't give me my period. And I'm like, I had sugar. This is what I had. So I had the Dave's Burger, which is like a deluxe burger with like, jalapeno poppers and onion rings. And then I had, that same day, I had that quart of Ben & Jerry's, 2/3 of it. Let's be honest, it was a cup of caramel. Then I also, so I don't know if it's like at first I'm like, well, I also had like popcorn. So I'm like, maybe that's the fiber offsetting, like, you know what I mean? But I'm not making excuses for this. I think it's because like my muscles have been worked, and my muscles were hungry for sugar. And so while I'm sitting on the bed rest, doing absolutely nothing, like when you enter sugar into your system in that regards, it's like not going anywhere. But now it's almost like my muscles are thirsty for that sugar because of how hard I've been working them. And normally I think of like, isn't that protein's job? Maybe even like the fat, because I'm not a professional in this stuff. I don't know. And even if you try to find a rhyme and a reason, like every body is different, and there's different factors for different people that work, like, you know what I mean? Like when I try to go into fat burning mode, I don't know that ever happens. I don't think my body likes that. I think my body likes carbs. And so that's where I'm like, the way to rebuild yourself after you've been on bed rest and depression for so long, it doesn't necessarily fit the norm of other people who have never experienced depression or like bed rest or like abuse, because like, so here's the thing, like like when your system's been overworked, I feel like it's a very like fragile process, and you have to also be careful of like what you're doing. So like if I feel overworked, I'm going to shut down. But I like the garden, and I know the garden is going to be a great space for me. And now I have but last year, the garden, if I try to attempt to do the garden, it wasn't work. It was a closed door. And I finally realized like this is a closed door, but this season things are similar but different, but now it's an open door. It's really kind of odd, because the energy is shifting. And people, I don't think understand that, but it's like the energy doesn't shift if you don't do something different to shift it. I had to do something different. I had to choose me. I had to choose, like, if I kept pressing on the reno door, that doesn't fulfill me. That is not, somebody else out there loves renos. It's not me. I love the garden, and somebody loves renos. And so it's like, while it was helpful to kind of get me up and moving again, I would rather do what I'm very good at and get money that way and pay someone who loves doing renos. So it's where I started doing some of it to get me up and going, and now I jumped over into, and so the timing of this is important too, because it's springtime, right? And I was just like, I need to get out. I need the warmth. But if I would have had the warmth sooner, then I wouldn't have done, like, I think I would have hurt myself harder, where this time, I overdid it with the renos and I was able to rest. And then now I'm like, okay, so like, let's pace this out. Make sure you give yourself breaks. Make sure you take a rest, kind of like a little bit of a quiz before the actual test, if that makes sense. And so now, like, yeah, and then I had a family caramel bar that night too, with the popcorn and the burger, and I had 2 decaf with cream. And while I'm not saying I'm not, like, my gut is not, it's not bloating like it used to. Like, I haven't done my ab work lately. So I need to make sure I balance that out, because I can feel my pelvic muscles that are out when I overwork my back from being outside. So I have to learn how to balance that properly. There's just a lot of things. Okay, so like the stress sweat, that's what I want to talk about. The stress sweat is gone. How? That does not make sense. That the stress sweat, like, while yes, I've been exercising, it wasn't until I re-entered the sugar back into my system that now the stress sweat is gone. And I'm gonna get a little personal here, and I don't really give a shit if there's dudes here. I don't care. Like, get comfortable with women's bodies. That's just what we all have to do. Women are everywhere. You're always gonna be around a woman. So like, the more you have knowledge about how her body works, the more helpful that can be. I don't understand why that's such a trigger for some people, but like, so my pH balance was off as well. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, is this associated with the cortisol? Because I had stress sweat and then my pH was off. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is this my gut? Is this? That's why I'm concerned, because I'm like, if sugar is bad for you, but when I'm working my muscles and I reintroduce sugar back in now, and dairy's my friend now too, that's so fucked up. Because now I notice, I'm like, because I notice things. I observe the small transitions. I'm like, why don't I have that stress sweat? Why is this normalized? Why when I bring sugar and dairy back into it, But I feel like my muscles, like, I can feel my muscles. Like, this is crazy. And so, like I said, like, when I look back, like, over just the past few weeks, so much has happened, but not. But when I look back, I'm like, wow, this really happened pretty fast. And so there's times where it feels like things are going slowly, but when you start putting all these pieces together, you build momentum. And so in the beginning, it felt really slow. And now it feels fast. And now I can feel my muscles. And while I don't, I can't fit into my clothes quite yet, that, that are my size, that are in my closet my size, I can feel my muscles again, and I can have sugar, obviously in moderation. Like, I think the reason why I was craving, I'm not always going to be lifting 2 foot by 2 foot patio stones. It's not, I don't intend on doing that on a regular, but I feel like that fail that led me to fall off the wagon, that had me eating sugar and then seeing like, wow, I didn't get my period this time. My body is somehow processing the sugar in a positive way. And it's just odd because it's like the things that used to hurt me, I'm now using them to heal me, right? So like the dairy, I couldn't have dairy, we were not friends, but now, this does not mean I'm bringing any friends back from the past, anyone watching. But it's almost like things that used to hurt me now, I'm using to recover it in a weird way. Like, don't get me wrong, sugar is a harmful substance, but in this instance, it's actually helping me to rebuild. If anyone watches this and they're like a dietitian, nutrition, and have this sort of explanation of, like, I didn't get tested on to see if I was insulin resistant. I'm just going based off like hormonal changes. And I don't know exactly what hormones I'm talking about, to be honest. Like, is this cortisol? Is this, you know, other things? And I noticed, like I said, certain things when I eat certain things would bring on my period. And this is just a lot. Not bad. It's a lot. It feels good to be in my body again. Okay, so here's the kicker. Before, in April, I was so concerned with, like, I still didn't have my energy up. So my attention has been taken away. Well, I tried to build momentum. I have, but I've also been building muscle. And now, where I've been focused on the fridge and my food, I'm less focused on my lack of energy levels. And now, because I'm out in the garden, because I love doing what I do in the garden, it's like I'm giving myself time and space to heal, but also build. And so at one point, I remember looking back, I'm like, I'm fucking working out of my yard. I'm lifting extreme fucking, like, my body is feeling it. Like, this is like 6-hour days on the minimum. I am lifting like extremely heavy items, and if not heavy, like patio stones and things like that, I am really working my body, like leveling out the land. I had a pile of like river rock that I had sorted, and so I've moved them to different areas of the yard. And if you saw this pile, I don't like taking pictures of all this shit, because if you don't believe me, I don't need you to believe me. It's more for, like, I'm just telling you if you're here for the help, right? This pile of river rock was crazy, and it was dumped by a loader when it came here, but I had to clear it out of my garden last year because I was revamping the yard to make it work for me, because I'm like, I didn't have any sitting zones. It was more of like a walking path, and I didn't want that. I want to be able to sit in my garden and like work in my garden or enjoy my garden. So that's last year I picked up all these 18 by 18 patio stones. There's like 45 of them. So I've been moving those around my yard. I have a couple 24 by 24s that I like laid out yesterday, and I'm carrying these big ass bags of limestone, and I had 18 kilogram bags, and I didn't realize they had 30 kilogram bags, and those are like 60 plus pounds, and I got those yesterday, 13 of them, plus another 24 by 24, and like I'm lifting the shit out of my car. So I'm a little bit sore today, but I don't give a shit. I lifted that. But I was just on the couch at the beginning of April, let's say, because even March movement was not as successful as I thought it would be, because I had to revise, right? And it's not even that it wasn't helpful. It's like a transition. You can't just jump into this shit, or you're gonna hurt yourself and be out. So things had to happen like that. And now, like I said, I'm looking back and I'm not even thinking about my energy, because my energy is now here. Isn't that fucked up? Where it's just like less than a month ago, it's like I was like, I'm tired, and now I'm like in my body and I feel my muscles. I am stiff, so I might set up a massage. Because I've also, here's another thing, like I've been using TENS machines to help my body. There's certain things, like there's only so much I can do, right? Sometimes you got to reach out. It's like, you know what? I can't do this for myself today, and I do want a massage. But I've been practicing putting my TENS machines on and stretching more and trying to do like more free movement to like stretch out my body. Like, where you swing your arms and stuff like that. I've been trying to do more of that. And yeah, it's crazy looking back and it feels like forever, but then it's only been like a week-ish. I'm going to say maybe I would say 2 weeks where I've been out in the garden. But the last week is where I really this is crazy. This is crazy. It's weird to look back and see. Anyways, so I'm just trying to tell you what I experienced from my path. Am I going to be on the sugar kick forever? No, because I don't intend on, like I said, like lifting this heavy. I do want to get more into my Taibo. I want to do rollerblading and more playful activities. But like, let me tell you, like it feels good. I think there's something about like the muscles, using your muscles and like them. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know much about this, but like something about using that sugar to build my muscle, yeah, it helped. And like I said, it's because I've done a lot of damage, like in the like the tearing of the muscles. Like I definitely have been challenging my body, but it feels good and it feels right, and that's what I'm focused on right now. So I haven't posted in a while, but I thought that would be helpful. Here's the thing: I'm not posting until I feel the need that I need to restore things back in my life before I can give of service to other people. And so that's where I'm focusing on myself right now mostly. Is anytime I try to go and do something for somebody else, I sense that there's my world is still not balanced. And like I said, this isn't about waiting till my house is fully renovated or having the perfect backyard. I'm trying to create more time for me to have more fun with me and my dogs and my kids to balance out the work aspect of life because I have been overworked. My nerves have been overworked. I've been required to manage everyone else's emotions and ignore my own, and so now I'm not doing that any longer, and I'm focusing on me and like simplifying my life, and then like bringing the work in at the end. But I need to make sure I have play because before I was just overworked and like my play was like screen. I'm so sick of there's nothing it's really hard to find things that I like on TV now. And so what I want to do is like I do want to go rollerblading. I want to read books. I want to do things that don't involve the screen. But do you see there's certain things like that screen was important at part of my life. It's interesting how these substances that are so addictive happened, and now it's almost like I'm using them to my advantage to get me up out of it, if that makes sense. So if you're interested in more of a video about that, maybe I'll do that later, but I probably won't. I'm not going to really start consistently posting for another few weeks. We'll see. Because I also have something else I want to work on too. I'm just going in the way that the more attention I get, the more results. I'm not going to sit and post when I'm not getting, it's not going to be my priority. And so I have some other things I want to work on, where it's a even give and take. I give and I receive. That's the idea. So if you're watching this and you do find it helpful and you want me to continue, be sure to like and subscribe and comment, because I have a couple ideas that I want to work on. And like I said, I'm just going to pick what is more beneficial for me, that makes me feel good as well. And then I pick that path. That's just how I go. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.